eating and spending and hoarding, and of course israf can be in entertaining yourself. It's okay, everybody needs a mental break at some point. If you've been studying for 6 hours, you need a break. But for some people, their life is a mental break. And that's all it is. They wake up and they entertain themselves, they go to sleep and they entertain themselves, they're clicking away and tapping away and swiping away all day, hours go by, and that's all that's going on. That's a kind of israf. So the idea of being excessive is actually a very powerfully condemned idea. And it's actually one of the ways in which the Pharaoh is described. Those are the people of fire. Everybody knows that Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran condemns those who disbelieve or those who are ungrateful. Allah Azza wa Jal condemns hypocrites and people who commit shirk. But one of the terms that gets overlooked, that's actually quite often talked about, is this group of people called al-musrifin. And by the way, just so you have an idea what musrif means, in simple language it means someone who goes overboard or someone who is excessive. And it's actually one of the ways in which the Pharaoh is described. It's described in the Quran, in al-musrifina hum ashabun nar. Those are the people of fire. Those are the people of the hellfire. So it's a pretty serious word. Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us, La tuti'u amra al-musrifin. Don't follow the way, the decisions, the lifestyle of those who go in excess. So the idea of being excessive is actually a very powerfully condemned idea. This is important because our religion, at the heart of it, is balance. Allah Azza wa Jal describes the skies and He says, وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ. He says He elevated the sky and He put a scale in it, a balance in it. Which means that the earth and the moon and the sun and everything is in a position, they're balanced, the day is balanced with the night, and all the heavenly bodies have a place and a position where they're supposed to be. كُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. This is the way Allah likes things to be in harmony and balance. And when Allah says that in Surah Al-Rahman, He adds, أَلَّا تَطْغَوْا فِي الْمِيزَانِ. So you don't violate the scales. Simple translation. Meaning, just like Allah put the entire skies in order and in some sort of a harmony and balance, we're supposed to have balance in the way we do business, in the way we conduct ourselves, in our thoughts, etc., etc. And there is a possibility of excess. So let's first talk a little bit about what this excess means. The word israf essentially means to go over what is necessary, to go beyond what is necessary. So, to keep things simple, if you are hungry, you keep putting stuff in your plate, even though, and at that time you're very convinced that you're going to destroy everything, but about 25% of the way through your plate, you're full. Right? So you put more in there than you were ever going to eat, and that's because you're suffering from israf. You're going over what you need because you're compensating for the feeling that you have. People go to weddings or invitations and they go to these things and there's a line for food, right? You like chicken legs more than anything else, so you collect all the chickens. You're looking at the guy, behind you, he might get some, because if I come back for seconds, they might not be here. So you get enough chickens to start a restaurant of your own in your plate, but you do that because you're suffering from israf. You're not going to eat all of that. You take more than what you need. Or even within food, eating things that you're not supposed to be eating more than you should. Like, okay, sugar is a necessary part of the body's functions. But everything is in a balance. And if you go overboard and say, I just keep eating candy or keep eating sweets, Allah teaches us His natural order of things. If you eat things out of order or you excess in one ingredient over the other, your body is going to suffer. Your health is going to suffer. That's because you had israf. So what israf does is it brings a lot of negative consequences into a person's life. And I started with the example of food, but israf can go beyond that in spending. Meaning you just need one bag, but you want to get 3 because you like all 3 colors. Or you're going to go to the grocery store to get eggs, but by the time you came back, you spent $200 because you start stuffing everything in the cart. That's a kind of israf. You didn't need it, but I might need it. I might need this too. I might need this too. But you don't really need it. And then some people, because of that, they have a hoarding problem. Like they can't even fit all their clothes in a closet. Or, their pantry is just overflooding with stuff that's from 1987. People unnecessarily collecting and hoarding things that they don't actually use. This is a kind of israf that people suffer from, Eating and spending and hoarding. And of course, israf can be in entertaining yourself. It's okay, everybody needs a mental break at some point. If you've been studying for 6 hours, you need a break. You can play some video games or something, or watch something on social media, or to go play outside, play sports or whatever. But for some people, their life is a mental break. And that's all it is. They wake up and they entertain themselves. They go to sleep and they entertain themselves. They're clicking away and tapping away and swiping away all day. Hours go by. And that's all that's going on. That's a kind of israf. Allah Azza wa Jal says, and in the least threatening language. Inna Allah la yuhibbul musrifin. Certainly Allah does not love those who do israf. But the ayah that I really wanted to focus on today that has to do with israf, it comes from Surah Yunus, and I recited it in the beginning of this khutbah. And I'll address some of the other forms of israf as I go along, inshallah, too. He says, when a human being is hit with harm, when a tough situation falls on a human being, what does he do? Da'ana lijanbihi aw qa'idan aw qa'iman. Then he starts praying to us, calling on Allah. Ya Allah, get me out of this situation. Only you're the one who can get me out. I've tried every other avenue. There's nobody who can help except you. And whether this person's standing or lying on their side or sitting down, they're constantly calling on Allah. Ya Allah, fix this problem for me. Help this problem. Help me with this problem. Help me with this problem. Help me with this problem. There's a desperation to turn to Allah on behalf of this person. فَلَمَّا كَشَفْنَا عَنْهُ ضُرَّهُ. And when we alleviate that difficulty from him, marra ka'allam yad'una, and then he walks around like he never called us, ila durrin masaw. He walks around as if he never called our attention to the harm that was messing him up, that was hurting him. And so, but what does this have to do with israf? Interestingly, it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with israf, but the way Allah ends this ayah is very particular. كَذَلِكَ زُيِّنَ لِلْمُسْرِفِينَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. That is how we have made for those who do excess, whatever they do has been beautified for them. Allah says that is how Allah has beautified their behavior of those people who do excessive things. The ayah is unlocking a very profound secret about our lives. When you live a life of excess, whether it's money excess, spending money where you shouldn't be spending, entertainment excess that I talked about before, or social excess, which means you're always hanging out with somebody, you're always out, you're always with friends, you're always talking to people, you never have any time to worship or any time to do one thing. Whatever you do into excess. When you live a life like that, then you will fall into trouble. As men, you have many responsibilities on you. You maybe have responsibilities towards your parents. You have responsibilities towards your siblings. You have responsibilities towards your spouse. And you have responsibilities towards your children. Then you have religious responsibilities. You have work responsibilities, financial responsibilities. You have friends that you need to stay in touch with. You have physical health that you need to stay in touch with. There's lots of things pulling at you. Lots and lots of things pulling at you. But if somebody decides that they're going to take care of their health, forget everything else. Because now they're tilting the balance in one side. They might end up actually becoming really healthy. But everything else falling apart is going to bring them a lot of problems. Or somebody says, I'm going to take care of my children, I'm going to forget about my parents. Forget about them. Then there are going to be lots of problems coming their way. So when we take one thing and we go in excess at the expense of other things, there's always something else that needed your attention. And as a result, there are going to be troubles coming our way. And then we turn to Allah begging for our problems to be alleviated.